Hi everyone, welcome to Enjoy English. I'm Steven.
大家好，我是 Bernice.
Today's date is December 17th. We're looking at day 2 of pages 34 to 37 under Just So You Know.
我们今天进入到我们生活快递的 Day 2的课程了。
Once again, the title is Reflect on Your Spending with the Latte Factor.
一样，我们的标题呢还是一样讲到这个拿铁因子这个东西。那我们在第一天有知道了，就是有一位财务的这个专家以及这个前副总裁呢，投资公司的前副总裁告诉我们，让我们每一天呢要好好的去想一想，如果我们多花了一些钱去买咖啡的话，可能每一个月就会累积增加了许许多多你的这个钱。那么我们大概今天了解到这一个所谓的拿铁因子，但是我们今天要讨论到拿铁因子每一个人不一样的那个因子到底是什么呢？
Yeah, your wallet is being drained bit by bit.
因为我们不希望我们的钱包一点一滴的被我们就这样喝光了。
Yeah, 而且他说 is being drained. That means it's happening right now.
对，现在就在喝光，光。
Let's find out more about the latte factor.
好的。
Reflect on your spending with the latte factor. While it's easy to see the value of cutting back on that coffee for a month, think about how those savings can grow over a lifetime. The money you save and invest each month could end up growing into tens of thousands of dollars. Over time, it may reach hundreds of thousands in an investment account. The key is to carefully track all of your expenses throughout the month. Big expenses such as rent, car payments, and utilities are obvious. However, what makes the latte factor so useful is its focus on the small purchases we often overlook. Recognizing spending habits that bring short-term pleasure but aren't necessary can be very helpful. These might include dining out, impulse shopping, or streaming subscriptions. These patterns can reveal areas where you may be able to cut back. Finally, once you've found ways to reduce your spending, take a moment to consider what you can do with the money saved. You could build an emergency fund, pay off debt, save for retirement, or even pay for a dream vacation. In any case, your small daily choices can lead to big financial gains over time.
While it's easy to see the value of cutting back on that coffee for a month, think about how those savings can grow over a lifetime.
这个第一个句子也是一个要让我们好好思考的那个句子啊。它这边用 while 开头，就是虽然。我们知道说 while 当连接词的时候，它又表示正当怎么样，然后也有虽然。所以有些同学说，老师我怎么知道什么时候是哪个意思？还是要看句子的意思哈，要主要去了解它真正的一个意思。所以这边是虽然，他说虽然这件事情是很容易的，那到底是什么事呢？See the value of something 就是看到一个东西它表达出来的那样的一个价值，那个东西是什么呢？就是 cutting back on。 我们知道 cut back on 就是指你要 reduce，你要去减少。减少什么呢？一个月你所谓的喝咖啡这样的一个记录。所以他说虽然呢我们一个月如果今天我都减少我去买咖啡，然后我去达到这个省钱的效果，其实很容易你眼睛就看出来了嘛。我今天少花45，我后天也少花45，我一个月就可以少花1000多块了。可是呢他叫你再好好的去思考一下，那到底你现在省下45块啦，你每天省下45，这45块呢的 savings， 你的存下来的这个钱呢，如果今天用一辈子来看你的一辈子来看的话，你觉得你每一天省下来的这些45块也好，55块也好，那么在你一生之中到底可以成长多少？
一生之中我们会用 over a lifetime， 都会这样子用在一起 over a lifetime or in a lifetime，也可以。And then while it's easy to see the value， 你可以说 to see the importance of， and Bernice 老师刚有提到那个动词 reduce，reduce 就是减少。To see the importance of reducing the amount of how much you spend on coffee for a month. And here we see that coffee. Why is it saying that coffee? It's because in our previous paragraphs in yesterday's lesson, we were talking about the coffee that we would buy for ourselves. So it's saying like we're kind of referring to that coffee.
没错，就是往前面指射这样子。
The money you save and invest each month could end up growing into tens of thousands of dollars.
他说呢，其实呢，你所省下来的这些，你每天觉得小小的一笔钱呢，所以 the money， 所以 the money 就是指你省下来的那些钱，然后并且呢，你要去做一个动作叫投资，你要把它呢去做投资，然后投资下来是每个月。好，如果说你又有投资呢，然后你又有省下来，这个被你投资下来的这一笔金额呢，可能呢 end up， 我们知道 end up 后面如果加 ing 就是最后会达到一个什么样的结果，它的结果有可能呢就会 growing， 就开始慢慢的变多了，然后变多成多少钱？你原本以为每天我好像只省下45块，可是有可能它到后面就开始越来越多，累积成数万元。
So tens of thousands means from 20,000 until 99,999. Okay, so it's any number between that. So tens of thousands, that's what it means. Over time, it may reach hundreds of thousands in an investment account.
然后接下来又随着时间不断的推移呢，你就到你的投资，你每天这样投资节省，对不对？你就把你这个账户打开来。或者是现在我们都用手机打开来，结果会发现什么？原来里面呢，我已经这个钱已经 reach， 已经到达了多少 hundreds of thousands， 这也太多了，有这么多，我都不晓得，数十万呢。就在你的这个所谓的投资账户里面哦。
Yeah, so this investment account is just one of those things that I feel money is really hard to come by and it's really easy to spend. A lot of times in Chinese we say 画得像水一样, right? So in English we would say like there's a hole in your wallet.
你的钱包里面有一个洞。
Yeah, so it kind of drains away, right? Which is what we mentioned in our title, right? So it's nice to think about having an investment account because that's sometimes that's it's a smarter way to hold on to your money to make sure that it's growing.
没错，
Okay?
没错。
All right, let's take a short break.
好的。
The key is to carefully track all of your expenses throughout the month.
他说呢，那你要怎么样可以让你的这个投资账户里面，你打开来一看，里面竟然被我省下了数十万，你要怎么样达到这样的一个目标呢？他就告诉你有一个关键，这个关键呢，就是你要很仔细的去 track 就是 record，R-E-C-O-R-D， 你要把它记录下来，你所有的这个开销花费，你通通要这个记录下来，而且是要记录 throughout a month， 就是一整个月你都要这样子做记录了。但是我之前有试过，可是我后来还是放弃，很烦呢。
So maybe you didn't do it carefully.
No, I didn't do that.
Right.
Okay.
But, first I want to mention you failed. It's okay. It's really easy to fail. So when it comes to money. Okay, so here we see the key is to, right? This key is not 钥匙. Okay, it means that the very important thing to do or the crucially important thing to do is carefully track all your expenses. This is why I find adverbs to be so important because it gives you more of a mental picture of how to do an action. So here, it would be perfectly okay to say the key is to track all your expenses, but to carefully track, you can have a mental picture of someone just being really, really, like meticulous or careful with this action, unlike Bernice 老师, who is unable to do it carefully throughout the month.
完全没办法。
Right? All right. So what are expenses? Expenses are anything that you need to spend money on. Okay. Big expenses such as rent, car payments, and utilities are obvious.
但是呢，以下这些我应该就也不用特别记录，我应该都大概知道，心里面有一个底嘛。毕竟我们是家里面付钱的这个人，对不对？没有，就是掌控钱的这个人。那比如说他就讲了一些比较大型的一些花费，例如呢 rent， 如果你有租房子，那你要付房租啦。还有呢，如果你有买车，你就要缴车贷啊。那如果呢，这个是每一个家庭都要缴的，要有 utilities。utilities 为什么用复数？它就是包含我们的一些公共事业的费用，比如说水费啦、瓦斯费啦、电费啦，这些噼里啪啦的，所以它都要用复数。他说这些费用呢，就非常的 obvious， 就是非常的 clear， 非常的显而易见的。
Yes, so utilities are any essential or important service that all of us need to use. For instance, water bill, 水费, gas, 瓦斯, and electric, 电费. Okay. Here also the word obvious 就是明显. I think one word that I really like to use in English that I hear a lot, but I don't think people in Taiwan use as much is obviously.
当副词的时候，显而易见的。
对，然后这个是常常如果人就讲废话，你说 obviously no， 就是 obviously yes， 这个是还蛮常在英文会用。
意思就是说你有眼睛，你看不出来吗？
对对对，
这样这个感觉。
所以教你们一下那个常用的副词 obviously。Okay, 好。However, what makes the latte factor so useful is its focus on the small purchases we often overlook.
他就说了，可是然而，一看到这种 however 这种所谓的 transition words 出现的时候呢，就是还有一个转折的，还有一个重点出来了。他说呢，然而怎么样呢 ？What makes the 来注意这个 what 不是疑问词哦，这个 what 等于 the things which 或 the things that， 它是一个复合关代。他讲的是这些事情，有一些事情呢，使得这个拿铁的因子呢变得这么样的有用的这些事情是 is， 所以你的主词是从 what 一直到 useful， 这整个是你的主词，就是什么呢？是 its 就是指那个让拿铁因子变得这么有用的那一件事情，它主要的这个专注的点呢，就是在于你每一天花的这些小额的这些开销啦哈。所以他说你每一天的这些小额的开销，可是这些小额开销又是怎么呢？是 we often overlook。什么叫 overlook？ 我们就知道它叫 ignore， 你有时候就叫忽略掉 ignore， 你就忽略掉的这一些小额开销，其实才是拿铁因子真正让我们觉得它是这么有用的一个方法。
Yeah, so overlook 除了 ignore， 你也可以说 that you don't notice， 就是没有发现。Recognizing spending habits that bring short-term pleasure but aren't necessary can be very helpful.
他又接着讲了，你要去做 recognizing。我们知道什么叫 recognizing 呢？就是指，你要稍微去辨认出来，辨认出什么呢？你有一些花费的习惯，什么样的花费习惯呢？他用 that 这样的一个形容词子句去形容你这样的一个花费习惯。这些花费习惯是 bring short-term pleasure， 你现在买了，对不对？你喝了这杯咖啡，或者是吃了这个甜点，你现在这个短暂的事情觉得好开心啊，因为带来了我短暂的乐趣。可是这些乐趣根本是不需要的 ，aren't necessary， 根本是不必要的 ，can be very helpful。如果你能够去辨认出来这个短暂的快乐其实是不必要的，那么它就对你来说是非常有帮助的。
没错，所以我们yesterday we learned that the word term can mean a word, a special word, but in this situation, term means like a period of time. So you have to know in the sentence how it's being used to know which definition to use. So a short term 就是短时间的。So we have two words put together by a hyphen that makes it an adjective. So the opposite of short term, which means a short period of time, would be long term. So a long period of time. These might include dining out, impulse shopping or streaming subscriptions.
好，下面最后一个我不赞成，你们还是要帮我跟那个 Stephen 老师的东西要按赞、订阅，但是是免费的，好不好？我们都提供免费的，所以他就说这些所谓的我们觉得不必要的花费，只能带来我们短暂快乐花费有哪些呢？他说有可能包含第一个，你想要外食，对不对？但是这个也是不可避免的，因为现在很多人不可能每一个人都在家里面自己煮嘛，所以你有可能到外面去用餐。那第二个，我觉得我就一定是可以避免，叫做 impulse shopping， 叫冲动购买，冲动的去买东西。 我这个人是从来不冲动购买，但我要点下去的时候，我就说啊不行，我有理智先告诉我。或者第三个就是现在呢，大家上这个网络看一些影片也好啦，看一些人家的这些短片也好，这个串流影音的订阅。记得这个 subscription 这个字，原本它的动词是 subscribe， 它是 be 结尾，然后它变成名词的时候，把这个 be 改成了 ption， 所以这个字要特别注意它的词类变化。
Yeah, so I just want to bring attention to impulse. That means a sudden, strong urge to do something. So impulse shopping means that you can't control yourself.
没错。
You just have to spend money while you're shopping. These patterns can reveal areas where you may be able to cut back.
可是呢，你这些模式呢，就可能会揭露出 reveal， 揭露出什么呢？有某一些地方，有某一些区块，什么样的区块？用后面的 where 来做说明，就是在这些区块里面呢，可能可以揭露说呢，其实你真的可能可以缩减你支出的这些区块。
All right, let's take a short break.
好的。
Finally, once you've found ways to reduce your spending, take a moment to consider what you can do with the money saved.
最后一段就开始给大家一些稍微的提醒了，所以他就说到了最后啦。当 once 一旦当怎么样？如果你已经开始找到了一些方法，而且不是只有一个方法，是很多的方法。这些方法呢，可以帮助你去 reduce， 去减少你每一天的花费的这个方法。如果你找到了，这时候叫你 take a moment， 就是你稍微静下心来，花一点时间。你花一点时间呢，好好的去 consider， 好好的去考虑、思考一下，到底你可以怎么样做这件事情 ？What you can do with。所以 do with 就是你要怎么处理这件事情，你可以想想看，到底我要怎么处理，我要怎么做些什么事情，对于这些你所省下来的钱，那因为这个钱是被你省下，所以那个 saved 记得要加变成过去式。
So 这个句子 once 不要把它想成是第一次，一次 right？ 它是一当，好，一当你做这件事情。Once you found ways to reduce, and reduce, you can use other verbs like decrease, right? Once you found ways to decrease your spending or lessen, L-E-S-S-E-N, 减少, okay? And another one is what we learned earlier, cut back. But if you want to use cut back, you have to make sure you have on after. So once you found ways to cut back on your spending, take a moment, and another thing we say is take a second, okay? 好，就花1秒钟的时间，虽然真的不是1秒钟，但是我们有习惯讲 take a second to reflect on. So I'm just using what we learned earlier in the title of our article, to consider or to reflect on. So make sure if you use the verb reflect, you have on afterwards. And it just means to think deeply about something. Okay? Think deeply about what you can do with the money that you have saved. You could build an emergency fund, pay off debt, save for retirement, or even pay for a dream vacation.
这个就是 Bernice 老师做的。我每个月省下来的钱，我就是想说啊，我今年年底我又可以去哪里玩了，也赞。所以我今天要省钱，对不对？好，这个呢，下面就是给你的一些小小的建议了。他说呢，你可以做一件事情，就是你去建立一个所谓的 emergency fund。什么是 emergency fund？ 就是紧急需要备用的这种备用金。因为可能你突然生病了，或突然发生一个什么紧急的事情，你至少身上有一笔钱可以拿来做这个运用，对不对？不然你身上1毛钱都没有，那如果你生病了，那怎么办？还要欠医生钱，这不是一个很奇怪的事情？再来呢，第二个你要 pay off， 要把这个东西付完，偿还完毕。什么东西？如果你有欠债，记得这个字 debt 那个 b 是不发音的。再来呢，你又可以为了你的退休来存钱。可能有些人说，老师，我现在还年轻呢，我想什么退休？也是要想一想啊，对不对？你怎么知道你什么时候会退休呢？你有可能存够钱了，其实也不用那么累，还要工作到年纪很年长的时候。甚至呢，你可以 pay for a dream vacation。如果你像 Bernice 老师一样，你就可以去把这笔钱省下来，然后将来呢，如果你有一个什么梦想想要去的一个假期，你就可以付清了。
Yeah, so fund, you could think of it as a pool of money. Okay, we usually say a lot of money. One way to say a lot of money is a pool of money.
像游泳池一样。
游泳池, like you
哇，好多钱哦。
have enough money to fill a pool. So it's usually a pool of money or a large amount of money for emergencies. But fund, you see it in a lot of different ways. It's not just emergency fund, okay? And also, when you say that you do have debt, you can also say, I'm in debt, okay? I-N, 然后 D-E-B-T.
我欠债。
我欠债, I'm in debt. Hopefully, that's nobody's situation, right? It's always good to pay off your debt or to pay it fully, okay? In any case, your small daily choices can lead to big financial gains over time.
这边的 in any case 就是以上不管哪一样东西，所以意思就是说无论如何啦哈，你呢小小的每一天的这种微小的选择，就是啊，我今天少喝一杯饮料，我今天少喝一杯咖啡，这样的一个小小的选择呢，有可能呢就可以 lead to， 可以 bring， 可以带来什么东西呢 ？big financial gains， 你在这个所谓的这个财务上面，你就会有很大的这样的一个收获 over time， 随着时间的演变。
Right, so in any case is a really good way to kind of let the reader or listener know that this is going to be close to the conclusion of what the ideas that you're trying to share with them.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way to end this paragraph. And also can lead to, you could say, can result in, okay, big financial increases over time. All right, so to conclude today's lesson, I think it's just important to be mindful or be aware of your financial situation. Obviously, having a coffee here and there is not going to hurt anybody. You do need to enjoy life as well, but just be aware of how much money you have so that you don't have one day when you realize you have no money. Okay, so just be mindful of your situation.
Yes, you have to know how to manage your money well, wisely.
But enjoy life as well. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.